Hey folks, my guest today is Jen Grant. She's the CEO and has led Appify, an enterprise rapid app development platform since February of 2020. Previously, she spent 15 years in enterprise software as CMO of Looker. You guys remember we had those guys on back before the sale, Elastic and Box, all billion-dollar outcomes. She's also spent 4 years at Google leading marketing teams and holds degrees from Wharton and Princeton. Jen, you ready to take us to the top?
I'm ready to go.
We were just reminiscing because we had you on back in October of 2020. You had 45 customers, 200 grand in ARR. You were just getting going. What's the update? Has the product changed?
Yeah, so it almost everything has changed. So I'd say the first thing that changed, and I think this is really great for your audience because this is exactly how a startup early stage kind of growth happens, where we sort of started out saying, yes, this is for SMBs. This makes sense. Let's do volume. Let's get inside.
$400 a month was your average ARPU back then.
Right. Our ARPU was pretty low, but we were going to get the volume. And what we realized in the last 2 years is that the product itself really speaks more to an enterprise play. And as we started really digging in and finding that product market fit, it was much more useful for larger enterprises. So now our average selling price is 125K. We closed a big 336K deal. That's like
is that your biggest annual contract right now? 350K, something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So we've got these big contracts. And of course you have to change your entire, the way you run the business, because instead of this sort of fast volume, like get them up and running, you have these longer sales cycles. There's like 10, 15 people at the company. You're meeting multiple times to sort of get everybody on board. You sometimes have to work with procurement and, legal and contract negotiation. So it's a complete, it is a different business from what it was 2 years ago. So exciting. And it's absolutely the right thing. But it was funny when I listened to the podcast again, I was like, holy crap.
This is wild. I mean, I don't think I've ever interviewed someone where in a 2-year span, they've gone from an average monthly ARPU of 400 to 10,000, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So how do you turn off all the small companies without pissing them off and getting negative G2 reviews?
Yeah, no. And that's been one of the challenges. And I think I would give us maybe like a B+. So we have a couple of our smaller customers. They're up and running. They're super happy. We continue to support them. When they have a bug or they have a question, we're there. But there were plenty of, and one of the reasons we shifted to enterprise, there were plenty of SMB customers that didn't really have the resources for an app building platform. Like they just didn't have time to build apps. And so in some cases, it was very easy to say like, hey guys, you never really built an app. So let's be friends. And in some cases, we pointed them to other products that we actually thought were better fitted for an SMB, a simpler solution.
Which would be what? My audience will help understand what you do based off that analog, like a Webflow or something.
Some of the ones we think about are GoForms is a great example. So it's a much simpler kind of app, but is faster to get going. I believe you can even upload a PDF and all of a sudden you have an app. So, and that's the kind of thing that many of our SMB customers, that's all they need. They just wanted to go from paper to an app that does a whole lot of great for their business. And for us, what we started to realize is some of the value that we were offering is that we can, from a technical standpoint, we can integrate into multiple data systems and we can create apps that have data from Oracle and SAP and Salesforce and Zendesk. And the minute you say that, you realize like no SMB gives a crap. They just want their one thing. But every enterprise has that issue with these data silos everywhere. And, we often hear from companies that they say, oh, my HR onboarding. First, I have to log into Workday, and then I log into this specialized onboarding system and I fill things out. And then they have to log into this other system. And so this idea of like, great, build an app that makes it really easy for the user, and in the background where nobody can see, it'll deal with the fact that data goes to this system, that data goes to that system, and all of this sort of complexity that typical enterprises have in their technology stack. So that was really the insight, was like, holy crap, we have this great thing for enterprises.
That's a shift. Oh, what's going on there, YouTube? Good to see you guys. Now imagine this. You love watching these interviews with SaaS founders, but imagine if we took all of the valuation data out from over 2,807 interviews I've done manually. Saves you a lot of time. Well, we've done this. We've built it into the beautiful interface inside of FounderPath. Check this out. I'll show you how you can access this in a second, but you log in, you connect your Stripe account, you see your valuation real time, you can see what it changed over the past 88 days, and even set goals for valuation this year. Now, the secret to valuation is there's many different ways to value a SaaS business. So the reason you're going to see 3 or 4 different valuations inside of your FounderPath dashboard, this is all free by the way, is because depending on who's doing the buying of your SaaS company, you're going to get a different valuation. A VC is going to pay a different valuation. Private equity firm is different. If you're going to do a minority sale, that's different. And if you sell the whole business, that's a different valuation. You can see all those when I hover over here. Right, so the teal is what a VC would pay, yellow is what private equity, and red is if you sold the whole thing outright. Now, what's cool about this is not built off random data. Again, you guys hear these interviews on YouTube. All these data are built from real-time valuation data points founders share with us on the show. So traction, 1.2 million, seed round, 3.7 raise, they sold 22% of their business. Go in here and filter by the event. Maybe you only want to see companies that have sold the whole business. Well, here are a bunch that have been acquired, the valuation and the multiple. Maybe you're going out right now and you're raising your seed round. Well, go in here and look at all this recent seed deals that went down, what they raised, what valuation they raised at, and what percent that they sold. There's never been a larger data set of SaaS valuations than what you can get now inside of FounderPath, and we're thrilled to bring it to you. All right, we're going to go back to the YouTube video here in a second, but if you want to check this tool out, if you want to jump in and sign up, you can check it out for free to get your valuation at this link, founderpath.com/products/valuations. Or if you go to founderpath.com and hover over products, click on get your valuation here and go ahead and sign up to give it a whirl. Again, all that valuation data live right inside the platform. I hope to see you there. All right, let's jump back into the interview. How many now? How many, if you ignore SMB, how many enterprises would you say you're working with now as paying customers?
We've got about 15 enterprises. So it's still, that's the other change is that when you're, when I was at Box, for example, we were constantly saying 15,000 customers, and then we had 100,000 customers, and then we had 8 million, it's like you have these really big numbers of all these customers, and you're in the enterprise and you're like, 15, yay!
Yeah. 40 customers that pay you $1 million a year is a great business.
Exactly right. And so you have to kind of reset your expectations and what you count. And you start saying, okay, well, what's our average selling price? Like when we have 15 and our average selling price is somewhere between 150 and then expanding to these 350K deals, like that's not so bad. So we'll be okay with that.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I mean, now, can I take those 15 customers times 13 grand a month? I mean, you guys are north of a 2 million run rate at that point, just in your enterprise cohort.
We're not quite there because we're a little land and expand. We're actually just about at the 1 million ARR, which we're really excited.
Okay.
Like fair literally enough. We're like just about to go ding and get that.
We're having you on at the right moment then. So you're still expanding some of these accounts, maybe more. So what is that expansion look like? Why would someone pay you 10 grand a year versus 350? Is it seat-based expansion, feature-based expansion, something else?
Yeah, it's seat-based. So what we're seeing is one great example, one of our older customers, they built one app and they had about 250 people using it. And then they built their second app and they added additional 300. And there was some overlap of app users. And then now they're at 5 apps and they're just shy of 1,000 users. So that was one where we landed small and then grew over time. Nowadays, I'd say in the last 6 months, I hired an enterprise VP of sales. So that also changed our selling motion. So we're landing a lot bigger in the last couple months. The deals that we're looking at, we would land more at the 100,000 range. And then the expansion is like, and then we'll get to 400,000 or that kind of range where we're like, okay, 1,500 users or our biggest deal right now is 8,000 users. So that one we were like, woohoo. Okay.
Very cool.
Do that one.
You mentioned the recent hire enterprise sales. How many folks are full-time on the team today?
We're still pretty small. That's one of, and as you, I'm sure have heard from other entrepreneurs and everybody's reading in the news, this is not the market to go crazy. And we're sort of feeling a little lucky that we've kept it tight. So we're at 35 people today. And we kept our sales team to 2 SDRs and we have an AE, and then our VP of sales, he actually sells. So we just have those 4. And
So
then
two SDRs, one AE, and then one head of enterprise sales.
Then the head of sales. Yeah.
Okay.
The other reason for that is we found this whole, and this is really rare for a startup, but we found this channel to use. So the second thing that's interesting that we sort of discovered about Appify over the last 2 years is this ability to connect into any data source works in kind of a white labeled, powered by Appify way. So we announced it in April. We did a deal with a software company called CSG to stick Appify on top of their software and give them a mobile app, like a well-formed mobile app that they can build. And then long-term, they want to build other apps, and they want to have this sort of platform capability connected into this sort of robust data source that they've built over the last 20 years.
So that's your go-to-market. That's your unique channel, this partnership strategy.
Right. And so then we kind of white label it, give it to them. They do a lot of the work, and they have the sales reps that are out there selling. And so that also allows us to stay lean, which in today's market turns out is a really good thing.
Yes. No, that makes tons of sense. Now you raised 8, 9, 10, 11.5 million-ish, right? Nothing else raised since 2020, right?
That's right. Yeah. So we're still kind of running on that. And like every other startup, we're looking at our road or runway and saying, okay, are we okay? And
well, what do you optimize for right now? Right now, where we're at, are you trying to plan for 24 months runway, 36 months, something else?
We're planning for a year runway because these OEM deals, we don't actually need to hire any more sales because of the kind of awesome expansion effect of the channel. So we're able to kind of grow the way we want to grow without actually adding headcount. And so we kind of like, we need that year to sort of say, okay, let's sell the crap out of this. And that gives us some of our engineering innovation will continue, but we also are sort of like, okay, let's just go sell the crap out of this for the next, 6
months. Jen, so with 35 employees, I don't know where you're based in the States, or maybe not even in the States, but if you have an average salary of $120,000 per year for 35 employees, that's a $4.2 million expense. So you feel like you've got, you're not that high though.
Yeah, most of our folks are in Bangalore, India. So we do have that's where our engineering is. So it's also very efficient.
Cut that in half. Then your annual headcount is probably something more like 1 million, 2 million, something like that, not 4.
Exactly right. Yeah. So we're able to get a lot of efficiencies as well, since our customer success and our engineering and support are all out of India.
We have 2 minutes left. Teach me about that. How did you find the anchor point in India to hire that first engineer and customer support rep?
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. It's hard. I would say not for the faint of heart. If you don't know someone in India already who has been there, done that, it's not a good strategy, as even though you look at the financing and you're like, wow, that would be great. Because it turns out it's actually really hard to hire in India. It takes 3 months. So even when someone accepts a job offer in India, they have to stay in their current job for 3 months. And very often they shop your offer. So they accept your offer, they shop it, they may find a better offer. And 3 months later, when you're dying for this headcount to start, they're like, just kidding, I'm going somewhere else. So it's very painful and hard. And what makes it work is those anchor people. So in our case, our founder, our CTO, is originally from India. He spends, maybe 6 months, 3 months a year out there. He's wonderfully charismatic. So he goes out and everybody gets excited and, pumped up. And so he is able to bring in people from his network as well as excite the team we have. And so that's been able to, and even then we still have people that don't show up on their first day of work.
Yeah, no, that's an art.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's an art form.
Yeah. It's a good strategy, but it is not, you can't walk into it thinking, oh, I'll just hire people in India and it'll be fine. You've got to have those anchor leadership there to make it work.
Guys, Jen, on that note, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, last business book you read.
Oh, it's still Simon Sinek. So
okay,
latest.
Start with why.
Yeah, start with why was the first, and the leadership ones were the next one. Number
2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Oh, that's a really good point. It's so hard nowadays. They're making documentaries about everybody and how they're all crazy. And so I hesitate to give you an answer on that one. I can't even say anyone right now.
What would the title, if Aaron Levy has a video made about him on Netflix, what would the title likely be?
Oh my God. Crazy young people.
Here you go. Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building Appify?
Um, you mean as far as the apps that are built?
No. Sorry. Tools you use to build the business.
Oh, to build a business. Absolutely. Calendly.
Yeah.
So useful.
Yep. Good one. Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
I'm good. I get 8 hours.
Oh,
It's
wow. And
important.
that's great. What's your situation? Married, single, kids?
Married, 4 kids.
Wow. You're busy. Okay. And do you mind me asking how old you are?
I am not 50. I'm 49.
Very cool. Very cool. That's a big, exciting birthday. That'll be fun. Hope you celebrate.
Coming.
All right, Jen, take us home here. Last question. Something you wish you knew when you were 20.
I think I wish I knew not to take everything so seriously. I think when we're 20 years old, everything is like the world is ending. It's not. Things are good, things are bad. It's all going to be fine.
Guys, really impressive story here. Appify helps enterprises launch apps, manage them, data in and out, all of that stuff. I've never had an interview where over a 2-year span, I interviewed Jen 2 years ago. She was doing $400 average ARPU across 45 customers. She's now doing well north of that. So now I'll call it 30, 40 customers, but they're paying much, much higher ARPU. She's more than 10x the average contract value moving to the enterprise, and her total revenue has gone from about $250,000 up to about $1 million run rate today. She's celebrating passing that metric, which is a big one, very exciting, without raising new capital between that period, which is really fantastic. So Jen, we're rooting for you. Thanks for taking us to the top.
Thank you. Great to see you again.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.